What's going on, everybody? Kenny Lamons here with Medicare Millennials, the YouTube channel for Medicare Agents. And today I wanted to make a quick video about what I'm personally doing during the Medicare Advantage off season, that is outside of OEP and before AEP, okay? So what can you do as a Medicare agent or an insurance agent that's looking to add Medicare to go ahead and stay busy and start gaining customers right now in the middle of the year when it's not the annual enrollment period? There's several things you can do to stay busy. I'm going to start with the most obvious, the ones that I'm doing right now, and I'm going to give you a little bonus, something that you guys might not be aware of that might be available right in your backyard that will allow you to hit the pavement or hit the phones and start talking to a lot of people and being able to make changes right now. Okay, so real quick, for those of you who follow my channel, I really appreciate anybody that subscribes. Been a little bit hit or miss lately. I had a trip to take care of. I'm in the middle of selling my house. Hopefully I'll be settled into my new place by June 1st and can put my content out a little bit more regularly. But as far as today, let me jump right into a few things you can do to stay busy during what I'll call the off season. So first and foremost, this is assuming that you primarily focus on the Medicare Advantage market. If you do focus on the Medicare Supplement market, beautiful part is you can continue to do what you're doing year round, right? With Medicare Advantage, we're a little bit more constricted. We've got to make sure that we're following CMS guidelines as far as when people can change, when and how you can solicit to them, how you can market to them. So right now, during the off season, one of the best things that you can do, and one of the most obvious things you can do, is focus on the dual or the LIS extra help market. So I want to clarify a couple of things when it comes to this market, and you can go after them in several different ways. Some people even actually work at food banks and help people enroll in Medicaid and all kinds of different things. But you can do something just as simple as a lead piece that targets towards some of the extra benefits that people that have lower resources might qualify for. Okay, so that can be a Facebook lead, that can be a direct mail lead piece that just lets them know, hey, you may be eligible for these extra benefits or these programs due to your limited resources. And that's a great way to market it. But what people get confused about, that's not just for people on Medicaid, okay? So in most cases, Medicaid, they have a very low income. And it's very state by state, but typically a lot of times they're under $1,000 a month total household income for an individual. And so they qualify for both Medicare and Medicaid, and those are what we call duals. But there's a bunch of people that maybe make somewhere between $1,000 and maybe as high as $1,600, $1,800 as an individual that may qualify for the extra help program or some level of Medicaid that isn't full Medicaid. So you're really able to reach a lot more people than you're aware of. So in other words, a lot of the people that qualify to use the SEP, which allows them to make a change quarterly due to their lower resources, aren't just on Medicaid. They may have a regular Medicare Advantage plan, but their income is low enough to qualify for the extra help on their prescription drugs. Okay, so I can't do a full comprehensive training on that right now, but what I want you to understand is just because you focus on the lower income market, at least during this time of year, does not mean you're only visiting with duals or people with Medicare, Medicaid. They may have a regular Medicare Advantage plan, and you either can assist them with the extra help program or they'll already have it, and you can kind of take it from there and use that quarterly SEP that they can make a change if needed, if they're having an issue. So here's one that you probably haven't thought about that thankfully I've been able to utilize quite frequently this year, and that's declared disasters and FEMA SEPs. So those vary, like obviously for the wildfires in California, for the giant freeze that happened across the South, Texas, Tennessee. I don't know exactly what all states declared a disaster, but certainly they did in Texas. Flooding, there's a million different reasons that somewhere in your own backyard or in the general areas that you typically call on if you're a phone agent to work, they have declared disasters. So usually, like for instance here right now, what that looks like is if somebody lived in the entire state of Texas, they were all affected to some degree or another by the big snow and ice storm that we had. A lot of people lost power, lost water, etc. So a lot of people were unable to make their change, while they otherwise might have made a change during OEP because that storm happened in March or whenever it was. So they would have otherwise had the opportunity to take advantage of the Medicare Advantage open enrollment period and make a change during that time, but they weren't able to, presumably because of the declared disaster. So now, here we are 2 months later, and that SEP is open for them to say, hey, look, you got to look at CMS or get with the carriers to see how long the SEP lasts for. But these are really cool because it essentially, if you run into somebody, you're marketing to them in general for extra benefits or because they're turning 65 and they have a Medicare Advantage plan already, they were affected by that disaster, they weren't able to make a change, and they're not happy with where they're at, you can use that SEP. It's a really good option for you. A couple others are chronic and special needs plans. So these are really great plans. Sometimes they can be better for a particular person that has a chronic need sometimes than a regular Medicare Advantage plan. They may provide a little bit of extra benefits. It may even provide a case manager or somebody to help them monitor their chronic condition. So all you've got to do is whatever areas you're interested in working, get on Medicare.gov, and you can filter the plans that you're looking at in those areas and make sure you click this chronic special needs plans. Identify them, and then call your carrier and just ask for more information on how those work and who's eligible for them. Pretty simple. Another one that a lot of people are unfamiliar with are 5-star plans. You may or may not have them in your area. We had 5-star plans here in my area, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area last year, but we don't this year in my area. So that's a bummer, but hopefully they'll be back next year. But if you do have 5-star plans, you can market that there's 5-star plans available in that area, and people are eligible to make a once-a-year change to a 5-star plan if they choose to. So that's really cool. And then the last one I would say is T65s. Now, it can be expensive and sometimes difficult because it's very competitive for the T65 market. But what's really great about working T65s is you have almost just as good of a chance to sell a Medicare supplement to a T65 as you do a Medicare Advantage plan. Whereas sometimes if we're focused on people that have lower incomes and that already have a Medicare Advantage plan, they're more likely than not to just be interested in getting another $0 premium plan or a different Medicare Advantage plan as opposed to getting a supplement. So if you want a good mix of Medicare supplements, Medicare Advantage plans, get with your FMO or get with us, and we'll give you suggestions on ways you can market to the T65 market, which you can obviously do year-round, don't have to wait on any annual enrollment periods. So look, those are 5 or 6 different ways that you can stay busy. There's never a time, not one time during the year, that you can't be growing your Medicare book of business. If you're a life insurance agent, if you're a PNC agent, you're interested in adding Medicare Advantage, and what scares you is, well, I can only work one time of the year. That's not true. Depending what type of Medicare product you're selling and what demographic you're going after, there's always a market for you to stay busy. And I'm being just as consistent and busy as I would be right in the middle of annual enrollment period at the end of the year. So look, I hope this was helpful, guys. Hopefully I'll be able to push out more videos over the next couple of weeks. Comment, reach out to us via our website, MedicareMillennials.com. Thank you.